Good morning, grade 8. I'm simply going to do this classwork that I gave you in the morning. You need to remember the key rules. The first step is that you need to make sure that you simplify each base to the simplest exponential form. The second step, make sure that you've got the same bases on both sides. The third step, you drop the bases, you equate the exponents. For the first one, you realize that you've got similar bases throughout, but on the left-hand side, you've got bases multiplied. We can't have two bases on one side. We need to have only one base. You need to remember the exponential law of multiplication. When you multiply the bases that are the same, which is 3 and 3, you need to write it as a single base, but when you multiply the bases that are the same, you add the exponent. When you multiply the bases that are the same, you add the exponents. On the left-hand side, I will end up having 3 to the exponent of 2 plus x is equals to 3 to the exponent of 2 minus x. Once the bases are the same, drop them and equate the exponents. Now solve for x by transposing. Note that when a term jumps the equal sign, its sign will change. X plus x will give you 2x. 2 minus 2 will give you 0. And then you divide both sides by 2. Therefore, x is equals to 0 divided by 2 is 0. Simplify each base to the simplest exponential form. But before you can simplify each base to the simplest exponential form, get rid of the fraction by also simplifying it to the simplest exponential form. 1 over 8 is the same as 8 to the exponent of negative 1. Note that the exponent of 8 is 1. When you move 8 up, that 1 changes sign, becomes negative. On the right-hand side, I'll just leave it as it is for now. Now I'm changing bases. I'm simplifying bases on each side. What is 8 to the simplest exponential form? 8 is 2 to the exponent of 3. What is 4 to the simplest exponential form? It is 2 to the exponent of 2. Now multiply the exponents. On the left-hand side, you will have Now that the bases are the same, you simply need to drop the bases, equate the exponents. Before I get there, let me just explain as to how I got negative 3 and 2x. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. 2 times x is 2x. Now the bases are the same, drop them. You will end up having minus 3 is equals to 2x. How do we solve for x now? You divide both sides by 2. Therefore, x will be equal to minus 3 over 2. Here you need to make sure that the bases are the same. The problem is that on the right-hand side, we've got the square root. How do we get rid of that square root and write it in simplest exponential form? Because we are dealing with the square root, you keep the base, and then you take the exponent of the base, you divide it by the root. Because here we're finding the square root, it means we divide it by square. Square means 2. We divide the exponent of 5 by 2, and the exponent of 5 is 1. You just divide it by 2. Now that the bases are the same, drop them and equate the exponents. Transpose 2 to the right-hand side to isolate x. Now, put that into your calculator and find the value of x. Half minus 2 is, it is minus 3 over 2. Simplify each base to the simplest exponential form. You can simplify 8 if you want to, but I'm going to leave it like that because remember the rule is to make sure that the bottom line is to make sure we've got the same basis on the right hand side. And on both sides. However, on the right hand side, I've got 1 and I can change that 1 to any base I want. So I'm going to change that 1 to a base of 8, but raise it to the exponent of 0. Now that the bases are the same, drop the bases and equate the exponents. And that is all. Similarly here, I can't do anything with a base of 7. I can't simplify it any further. All I'm going to do is just to simplify 1 or simply put it as any base, write 1 as a base as any base, but I want that 1 to be a base of 7 because I need same bases on both the left hand side and the right hand side. So I'll just take that 1, write it as a base of 7 and raise that base to 0, to the exponent of 0. Now that the bases are the same, drop the bases and equate the exponents. Transpose 3 to the right-hand side. Remember, when you transpose it, the sign will change. It was negative, now it will be positive. Here, remember, we don't work with any fraction. So I need to get rid of that decimal by first converting it into a fraction. Because in that decimal, we've got 3 digits after the comma, I'm simply going to take the numbers after the comma and divide them by 1,000. Remember, if you have 3 digits after the comma, you divide by 1,000. If there's 2 digits after the comma, you divide by 100. If there's 1 digit after the comma, you divide by 10. 125 divided by 1,000 is 1 over 8. I also can work with fractions, so I need to change that 1 over 8 to the simplest exponential form. How much will it be? It will be 8 to the exponent of minus 1. Now that I've got different bases, but everything is simplified to the simplest exponential form, I'm going to break the bases, prime factorize them by raising them to the simplest exponential form. So 4 to the simplest exponential form, it will be, and 8 to the simplest exponential form will be. Now multiply the exponents. 2 times x is, 3 times negative 1 is. Now that the bases are the same on both sides, drop the bases and equate the exponents. For me to solve for x here, to isolate x, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And that is your solution. Here you've got an option of simplifying 64 and make sure that it has a base of 4. 64 to the simplest exponential form with a base of 4, it'll give you 4 to the exponent of 3 is equals to. Another option was to simplify 64 to the simplest exponential form, which will be 2 to the exponent of 6 is equals to 2 to the exponent of 2 in brackets. But to make it easy, I change it to a base of 4, because that will make it easy. If I have a base of 4 on the left-hand side and a base of 4 on the right-hand side, I just drop those bases and equate the exponents. which will be 3 is equals to 3x minus 1. Transpose 1 to the left-hand side. When it jumps the equal sign, it will be positive. 3 plus 1 is 4 is equals to 3x. To solve for x, divide both sides by 3. What is the value of x? X will be equal to 4 over 3. Please do the following as classwork 3. Enjoy your day. Goodbye.